Hello colleagues, welcome to week 6 of Business Proposal Design ORM456. These are Brewers bullets, the 3 things we need to be thinking about from the past week, this week, and then a look ahead toward the end of the class. So let's get right to it with our 3 Brewers bullets. Number 1, this past week we had a fun online discussion about punctuation and the differences between academic writing and business writing. I enjoyed the discussions that we had, learning where you might do some struggling, especially with punctuation, and how you adjust in moving from one type of communication to another. We all have to deal with those kinds of things when we're working in academia and also in the business world. I deal with them as well. So hopefully some of my tips on punctuation are helpful to you and continuing to build your writing skills and style. So I want to emphasize one thing. So here's the deal, right? With good punctuation, good grammar, word choice, sentence structure, and things like that. The whole point of those things is that they don't get in the way of people understanding what it is you're trying to say. You want people to focus on your content, not on how you're saying your content. You want to have a clean way of getting the message across to the reader. You may have noticed in the papers that you've had in this class and probably in other classes that 2 sections of the grading rubric deal with a little bit of APA format, but mostly about grammar and spelling and punctuation, and then about word choice and sentence structure and things like that. 30% of your grade on each one of those papers is based on those things. And on some of your papers, you may have seen my comments. The best comment you can hope for from me on those things is no English errors and clean, clear, and easy to read. Those are 33 points as long as what you write and how you write it doesn't block me from understanding what it is that you're trying to say. That puts you in really good shape grade-wise. So that's why we focus on those kinds of things. That's bullet number 1. Bullet number 2, this week you will be turning in your rough draft of your conclusions and your recommendation about your business proposal. I've been giving feedback already on the intro. Over the next day or 2, I'll be giving feedback on your analysis portion, your data analysis. This week is your rough draft of your conclusion and recommendations. And I want to be clear here. There's a really important note that your conclusions are not your recommendation. Conclusions come directly out of the data that you gathered. Because I learned this in the interview, because I learned this through surveys, because I learned this in the online research, here are some general statements that arise out of that data. That's what you want to present in your conclusions. This is the impact. This is what happens to us. This is what doesn't happen. This is what does happen, based on the experience of the data that I have. Then, once you've drawn those conclusions, then you make a recommendation about the implication. What do we do next? How do we move forward with this? Do not confuse those 2. Your recommendation needs to be a specific step or a course of action. Your conclusions are general statements. All right? In your recommendation, I also want to say, make sure that you are explaining why you make that recommendation. You don't have to list all the pros and cons, but you do want to acknowledge that there are pros and that there are cons. So you might need to reference the cost or how long something would take, how much training is involved, the changes that would be necessary in corporate culture, things like that. So reference a couple of things based on your recommendation that you understand that this is not necessarily going to be a quick fix, but that there will be things that have to go on there. The other thing you're doing this week is a practice video presentation. Be sure to look at the resource guide about how to upload one of your practice videos to YouTube. As you can tell, I've been doing this for Brewers Bullets all through the course. I've been doing it for a few years now. After the first 1 or 2, it became really easy. But this practice video gives you a chance to sort of figure out that technology stuff. How do I get the PowerPoint or the Prezi or whatever and me on the screen at once? Now, how do I get that uploaded so people can watch it? So pay close attention to those things this week as you're writing a conclusion and recommendation rough draft as well. Brewers bullet number 3, looking ahead. We don't have very far to look ahead because next week is the last week of class. It's wrapping up. So it's taking what you've already written on the intro, the data analysis, and the conclusions and recommendations, taking any feedback I've been giving you, putting it together into a final package, a final report. 20 to 30 pages is the expectation, and then also doing the video presentation, the full video presentation. What I'm looking for in these two is, in the report, I'm looking for the content. What do you say, grammar, punctuation, etc. But mostly I'm looking for what is the research that you did, what are the conclusions that you drew, and what's a recommendation. So I'm looking for the content for your business proposal. With the presentation, I'll already know about the content because I will have already read the paper. So with the presentation, for me, I'm going to be evaluating you on the presentation. How did you put it together? How are the slides good? Don't do all text, but don't have a bunch of memes or images also. Go for a balance there. If you do include an image, make sure that it contributes, that it adds to the content or the understanding or the context. And then your presentation style. Do you speak in a decent pace? You're not too fast, you're not too slow. You're not too quiet, you're not too loud. Do you have a decent presence as you're doing it? Do you maintain eye contact with the camera? This is artificial, I know, because you're going to be doing it on your laptop or on a phone, or you're being recorded on a camera or something like that. So it's different from standing in the room and doing a presentation to us. I get that. But pretend as much as possible that you're doing a real presentation of this. Ideally, the business the issue that you've identified to your organization is something where you'll be invited to do a presentation. Use this as practice for that. How would I speak to the company president or my supervisor or a team of customer service reps or whoever your audience would end up being? Use this as practice for doing that presentation. So you'll be graded on the content of the paper, the report, and on the presentation format and style, and personal interaction on the presentation part. All right. Any questions? Email me or text me, 503-422-1736. A quick note, I am still at a camp that has no cell signal and pretty low internet for the next couple of days. So if you text me Tuesday or Wednesday, you probably won't hear back from me until Thursday when I come back into full cell signal range. But I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks so much, and I'll see you online.